Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Actions Speak Louder Than Words segment. This is something I do on my own, which you can look back and look at other ones I've done where I've talked about many different things. This is just a little different setup than what me and Will do together. Much smaller sample of what we do together. But if you like this, tune into the podcast. That'd be great. Today I want to talk about American foreign policy hypocrisy. So recently, while everybody's not paying attention and angry about everything and of what's going on in the world and inflation and food costs and all these, the war in Ukraine. I want to talk about the war in Ukraine. Not specifically really about the war in Ukraine, but what I want to talk about is the nonsense of the foreign policy of America. So this happened on, what date is this? August 25th, 2022. This article comes from the Department of Defense of the U.S. Defense, so right off their website, the DoD. Strike sends clear message to Iranian-backed groups in Syria to stop attacks on U.S. forces. First off, let's just look at the headline. Iranian-backed groups in Syria to stop attacks on U.S. forces. So, let me understand this. U.S. forces are in Syria? I'm confused. We have boots on the ground in Syria? Why would that be? This is ridiculous. This is the same thing I heard about everybody, or not every person. I heard about how it's terrible how Russia is attacking the Ukraine and they have boots on the ground and all these terrible atrocities are happening. I get it. It's a terrible thing. But it's very hypocritical to say on one hand that Russia, first off, you can sanction Russia, which those sanctions are going so well. You can sanction people, civilians in Russia. They're taking yachts of billionaires. Whether you like billionaires or not, they're still doing this. So they're sanctioning civilians, not just the government of Russia, but civilians. They're also, I hear about how we shouldn't let Russian players play in the NHL. I mean, you name it. Soccer players. Just every time something comes up, oh, they're Russian? They can't do that. We got to get rid of those people. They're terrible people. But U.S. continues just to use foreign policy to accumulate natural resources. And these are not, and the U.S. people are supporting this with their tax dollars. We've spent $6.4 trillion fighting wars in the Middle East and Asia since 2001. Where do you think they're getting this money? They're getting this money from the U.S. taxpayer. We're paying for that. So remember, when you hear about inflation and it's transitory and it's going to come down, part of the inflation is from us spending all this money on these wars. Somebody's got to pay for it. The Iraq War, $819 billion was spent from 2003 to 2022. Afghan War, 2001 to 2021, $2.26 trillion is how much is spent on just those two wars, just the Iraq and the Afghan War, for $6.4 trillion total. The hypocrisy of the U.S. foreign policy is so absurd and so obvious. Everybody's running around yelling about Russia, and the reality of it is the real boogeyman is the U.S. foreign policy. You know how many people we have killed in these wars? It's absurd. Absurd. You know how many civilians? This is how many civilians died in the Iraq War in 19 years. 209,000 people. Civilians, not military personnel. Civilians. Imagine 209,000 people died in the U.S. Let's say, let's say Russia attacks America. 209,000 people die. Just saying. You know, so 46,000 civilians have died in the Afghan War. 76 total. 46,000 of those were civilians. People just, trying to go about their everyday business. And you can look up pictures of these places and how and the U.S. has attacked hospitals. We're talking about U.S. presidents that are war criminals. And they talk about Vladimir Putin being a war criminal. 100%. He's a war criminal. But let's not be silly. The reality of it is Barack Obama, Donald Trump, and Joe Biden, all war criminals. They have invaded countries without and bombed them without their consent. Sending bombs and troops into other sovereign countries without their consent. That's war criminal. That's a war crime. International law, war crime. Same thing Vladimir Putin's doing. He's putting boots on the ground in Ukraine without Ukraine asking them to come into their country. War criminal. President Barack Obama dropped a bomb every 36 minutes in the Middle East. Every 36 minutes. He was, but Nobel Peace Prize winner. Also dropped so many bombs in 2015, ran out of bombs. Nobel Peace Prize winner. Everybody says he's the greatest president ever. No, don't think so. War criminal. Donald Trump dropped a bomb every 12 minutes. War criminal. Every 12 minutes. Sold, made a deal with Saudi Arabia to sell them $350 billion worth of weapons to Saudi Arabia over 10 years. Saudi Arabia is carrying out the biggest humanitarian crisis in the world that nobody talks about today. It is going on right now in Yemen. Look it up. Do you think I'm lying? In Yemen. And we're responsible for that. Because we're giving them the weapons and the technology and the information, the military capabilities and the information to help them carry out these things. I remember a story years ago how, you say, never really heard of me, Yemen. Not a big deal. Yeah. What's that matter? The United Nations report has projected that the death toll from Yemen's war will reach 377,000 people by the end of 2021. Including those killed as a result of indirect and direct causes. In a report published on Tuesday, the United Nations Development Program has estimated that 70% of those killed would be children under the age of 5. Nice. It's found that 60% of the deaths would have been the result of indirect causes such as hunger and preventable diseases, with the remaining result of direct causes like frontline combat and air raids. So, I'm very proud of my U.S. foreign policy. We're killing children, helping to kill children with Saudi Arabia. We say, well, Saudi Arabia, they're not bad people. Okay, well, just remember that the reason we're in the Middle East and killing all these people is because 9/11. 9/11 was a terrible tragedy. But look it up. 9/11 happened, and we went into all these wars. Well, guess who can be sued? If you're a survivor of the Twin Towers, you can sue Saudi Arabia because they were involved in some way. So let me understand this. We're killing all these people in the Middle East over 9/11, but the one country that is responsible, that has been proven in a court of law, is Saudi Arabia. And we're giving them $350 billion worth of weapons over the next 10 years. And they're killing children in Yemen. Bullshit. Sick of it. So keep crying. Every time I hear somebody, I feel bad for the Ukrainian people. But I'm done with this nonsense. Until you want to start holding your own politicians. And this is every politician. There's only one aisle when it comes to war. There's no right or left. There's one aisle. And that's the aisle that they walk up and kiss the war machine's ass. That's it. It's absurd. I mean, I don't know what else, And you say, well, what is, Trump wouldn't do this stuff. Well, if you listen to Trump, he talks about it right on YouTube. You can look up any YouTube, and I'll play it for you. Talking about protecting the oil we have in Syria. That's why we have U.S. troops in Syria. Not because there's terrorists. We're protecting the oil. I'll play it now. You can take a listen.
President, for the job they've done. Again, this has been thousands of years in the process between these countries and other countries that we're involved with 7,000 miles away. So we want to worry about our things. We're keeping the oil. We have the oil. The oil is secure. We left troops behind only for the oil. And
keeping the oil. We have the oil. We left troops behind to protect the oil. That's Mr. Donald Trump. But you say, wait a minute. We'll go back to Saudi Arabia. Well, Joe Biden's so much better. He would never sell weapons to Saudi Arabia. Oh, well, I disagree. Let's see here. Biden administration approves potential multi-billion-dollar deal, the arms sales to Saudi Arabia. Oh, shocker. Right side aisle, left side aisle, one aisle. That's it. And these people don't care. I'm tired of people thinking that the politicians care about anybody but their pockets and themselves. You never notice that none of these politicians send their kids to go fight in these wars. That's fine. Let's go fight some wars, but you guys send your children. Politicians guarantee if a politician had to send their children to fight wars, there would be no wars. There would be no wars. And you say, well, I mean, like, you know, we care about veterans, right? Okay, well, here, let's see here. Oh, America is proud of this is an article I found about homeless veterans. America is so proud of their veterans that much we know. Our country does a lot for cracks. There are 630,000 homeless people in America, which is ridiculous, and 495 of those are veterans. 1,000 homeless veterans. Where's the money spent on them? Spend $2 trillion to try and fix it. I don't care. They're homeless veterans. But we don't care about that. This government doesn't care about paying for the results of war. All they care about is getting their natural resources. That's all they care. Over 968,000 veterans lived in poverty in the last year. Oh, almost a million. Nice. 20,000 veterans with government-sponsored mortgage lost their homes in 2010. So after the 2008 crisis, 20,000 veterans that went and fought in a war that was a part of defending against what we think are terrorists. Yeah, great. So they lost their homes. Nice. $2.26 trillion just in the Afghan war. But they lost their homes. Great. 70% of homeless veterans experience alcohol, drug, and mental issues, health issues. 30.2 of those veterans are ages 18 to 24 are unemployed. Great. I mean, this is like, we don't want to pay for the results of the war. We just want to spend money on the wars. We want to get our natural resources. We want to blow this shit, blow up everything. But yet, when I hear people talk about Ukraine, I never hear them admitting that we're the biggest terrorist in the world. And that's the reality of the world. The U.S. has been at war for all but about 6 years of its existence. Think of that. That's crazy. We're not but yet, come take the civilians' guns, but we have no problem selling billions of dollars worth of arms to other countries. I tell you what, you can come take civilians' guns when we stop selling weapons to other countries that are executing humanitarian crises in Yemen, and when the politicians aren't guarded by people with weapons, and the celebrities start going to anti-gun protests with armed guards. I'll be cool with. I might be cool with giving up the guns. Until then, they can kiss my butt, because I'm sick of this nonsense. So don't cry to me about how Vladimir Putin's this terrible person. He is. I don't want to hear it no more. Sick of it. Politicians don't care. Do you think they care? Background, they're just doing all this nonsense while you're not paying attention. Until they get held accountable, nothing will ever change. These are the same people that sanctioned a company one time. Look this up too. It's not hard to find. They sanctioned a company, Venezuela, which is having currency crisis and having, inflation like you wouldn't believe. You think it's bad here. Venezuela it's terrible. They don't have food and water on the shelves. A company was giving them, trying to supply them with free water. And our congressmen and senators sanctioned a company because they were giving them water. That's the people you voted in. So every time you vote, You think you're voting for the right or the left, and there was both sides of the aisle that voted for that. You think you're voting and you think you're going to make a difference? Sorry, your vote don't mean shit. They don't care. You don't care if you vote. They're going to do whatever the freak they want anyways. And I'm sick of this nonsense. You think you spend all this money and inflation? You think is bad now? You wait. Inflation ain't shit. Thanks for listening to my little rant, because I'm getting sick of this crap. And I hope you enjoyed the little rant of mine, and hopefully listening to the podcast where we talk about, just talk about politics. We talk about music. We talk about religion. What else we talk about all kinds of stuff. You look back and you can see all the different things we talked about on the podcast. So hopefully you tune in, and see you next time. Thanks. All the links for the information I put in this soundbite will be, all the links will be in the description below. And then do your own research. Check it out. If you think I'm full of crap, figure it out. Prove me wrong.